Good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Saraya Mia. The government rejects claims that the house arrest bill was enacted to free former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil explains that the bill is part of the shift from punitive to restorative justice, aiming to reintegrate individuals found guilty back into society.
Ia tidak ada kaitan dengan mana-mana individu, tapi bila kita lihat ekosistem itu secara keseluruhan, kita perlu beranjak sesuai dengan zaman. Banyak negara mengamalkan konsep restorative justice dan kita juga ke arah itu. Dan dapatan awal seperti yang saya sebutkan tadi, banduan-banduan ini lebih boleh diterima oleh masyarakat.
The Prisons Department has reportedly completed the draft bill, which has been submitted to the Home Ministry. It is expected to be tabled as early as June next year.
Malaysia sees great potential for collaboration between ASEAN and BRICS as the country takes the chairmanship of ASEAN next year. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli says Malaysia plans to showcase its regional leadership in semiconductors, energy transition and Islamic finance during his address at the BRICS Outreach Summit in Kazan, Russia. Rafizi also noted that Malaysia is defining a new role as ASEAN chair in 2025, positioning itself as a neutral bridge between ASEAN and BRICS, aiming to attract nations to push back against the global trend. He added that as the world becomes multipolar, BRICS serves as a crucial counterbalance. By promoting deeper economic integration, Rafizi envisions more opportunities for developing countries in areas like infrastructure, technology transfer, and capacity building. Meanwhile, former 1MDB General Counsel Jasmine Liu acknowledged her close friendship with fugitive businessman Joe Low during her testimony in the 1MDB lawsuit against Riza Aziz and his companies Red Granite Pictures and Red Granite Capital. The suit alleges that around $248 million in 1MDB funds were misused for personal gain, including film financing and property purchases.
Liu testified that she met Riza during a ski trip in Canada in late 2012 and that Joe Low and Riza were close friends, often vacationing together. However, she denied knowing about a $10 million transfer from 1MDB to Red Granite Pictures and another $138 million remittance to Red Granite Capital, entities linked to Riza. 1MDB's opening statement claims that funds were siphoned through two companies connected to Low, allegedly used for gambling, film production and acquiring luxury assets. The plaintiffs argue that Riza, who controlled the Red Granite companies that produced the movie Wolf of Wall Street, was aware or should have been aware that the funds were misappropriated. 1MDB is seeking a court declaration holding the defendants accountable for the misappropriated funds and demand repayment.
MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki assures he is personally monitoring the probe into the OneBestarnet case. He has asked for more time for investigators to complete their work.
Last month, the MACC said it had started an investigation into the 4 billion ringgit OneBestarnet service tender involving the Education Ministry that may include the possibility of false claims being made. He said there were instances where the supply was said to have been made when in fact it was not done. The OneBestarnet project was launched by the government in 2011 with YTL Communications Sdn Berhad to provide high-speed internet access to 10,000 schools nationwide.
The Life Insurance Association of Malaysia is in full support of the recently announced Rakan KKM program, a government initiative that could open access for affordable and quality healthcare services. Its CEO, Mark Odell, describes the program as a positive step towards better healthcare for all Malaysians.
Odell stated that the association supports the Health Ministry's discussions with private health insurers to incorporate Rakan KKM services into policies, viewing it as a promising opportunity for life insurers to partner with the government and healthcare providers. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim announced the Rakan KKM initiative in the Budget 2025 presentation, highlighting collaborations with government-linked investment companies to offer paid healthcare options at affordable rates. The initiative is aimed at strengthening the public healthcare system, addressing rising healthcare costs, and building a more resilient and self-sufficient public health service.
Despite the ringgit being one of the best performing currencies globally in the third quarter of this year, what does this really mean for average Malaysians? While many might expect a stronger ringgit to result in lower expenses, that's not always the case, at least not immediately. Financial literacy content creator Ong Shinji from Futurist explained the importance of managing expectations and how to best plan for currency fluctuations.
The first factor is depending on whether the goods or services are locally produced. If they're locally produced, do they have a foreign supply chain or not? Now, nowadays, right, because Malaysia is a highly trade-dependent nation, a lot of goods, they are imported and exported in some way or another. So definitely there is some influence. But for those local goods that have no foreign supply chain, i.e. some vegetables and rice, we also produce 60% of our rice locally. We import some rice. But these are the goods that you expect it to not change in price at all.
The immediate effect, he said, may not be felt due to pre-existing contracts and current stock inventories. For imported food products, although the stronger ringgit should eventually result in lower prices due to favourable exchange rates, consumers will likely need to wait as businesses clear their existing inventories. As a result, any noticeable price changes may only be seen in the coming weeks or months.
The fourth factor is probably the most important one. The one boils down to price stickiness. So price stickiness basically means, it's pretty simple. Prices are sticky. Okay, if you're a businessman, you're more likely to raise your prices than reduce them. Because businesses, they are built for profit, right? So you can't expect menus, especially restaurants, menu for restaurants. Once the ringgit strengthens, you can't expect your food to get cheaper because the restaurants will have to design their entire menu. And restaurants won't purposely do that because it's halfway through the year already. In fact, it's already 3/4 through the year already. If they ever wanted to create a new menu next year, they will probably just put it at the same price. And that boils down to the last factor, price stickiness.
AWANI International is your gateway to global news, insights and stories that matter. From breaking headlines to in-depth analysis, stay connected with the world right here where you won't miss a beat.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
Karya manakah yang bakal dinobatkan terbaik di kalangan yang terbaik? Saksikan Malam Kemuncak Anugerah Sri Angkasa 2024 di Dewan Perdana Pusat Konvensyen Antarabangsa Putrajaya pada 26 Oktober di TV2. Anugerah Sri Angkasa 2024, Kilauan Prestij Citra Kegemilangan.
Welcome back. An Israeli strike early this morning killed at least 3 journalists and wounded several others as they slept in guest houses used by media in southern Lebanon. The strikes made it the deadliest day for journalists in a year of hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. Among the victims were Ghassan Najjar, a camera operator, and Mohammad Reda, an engineer for Iranian news outlet Al Mayadeen, as well as Wissam Qasim, a camera operator for Hezbollah's Al Manar network. There was no immediate comment from Israel, which in general denies deliberately attacking journalists. 5 journalists had been killed in previous Israeli strikes in Lebanon during the conflict. The strike at around 3 a.m. targeted Hasbaya, a town with both Muslim and Christian communities. It is the first such attack on the town itself, although there have been recent attacks on its outskirts. In other news, Elon Musk awarded 2 $1 million prizes to registered voters in Michigan and Wisconsin, despite warnings from the Justice Department about potential legal issues that the payment might be illegal. The CEO of Tesla and X, who is a supporter of Donald Trump, announced over the weekend that he plans to give away $1 million each day to a registered voter in a swing state until the U.S. election on November 5th.
The prize is offered through a super PAC that Musk founded, and eligibility requires signing a petition in support of free speech and gun rights. This approach immediately sparked concerns among election law experts who raised questions about legality after Musk launched the initiative at a pro-Trump event in Pennsylvania on Saturday. The Super PAC's website stipulates that only registered voters from 7 specific battleground states qualify for the petition, fueling further criticism over the potential influence on the electoral process. To date, these controversial eligibility criteria remain unchanged on the Super PAC's website. Federal records reveal Musk contributed approximately $44 million to his pro-Trump Super PAC in early October, underscoring his increased political involvement in support of the Republican candidate.
U.S. fast food chains, including Burger King, KFC, and Taco Bell, have dropped fresh onions in some restaurants after an E. coli outbreak linked to McDonald's quarter-pounder sandwiches sickened dozens of people. The outbreak has led to at least 49 illnesses across 10 states, including 1 death.
Burger King's parent company, Restaurant Brands International, and Yum Brands, which operates Taco Bell, Pizza Hut and KFC, made the announcement to drop the onions after McDonald's named a California-based supplier as the source of onions linked to the food poisonings.
After close consultation with regulatory authorities, including the CDC, USDA, and FDA, we've taken steps to proactively remove slivered onions, which are used in quarter pounders, from restaurants in select states. We also made the decision to temporarily remove the quarter pounder from restaurants in select states.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Thursday also confirmed that Taylor Farms was the supplier for the affected McDonald's locations. Authorities have identified the bacteria behind the illnesses as a strain of E. coli. The bacteria produces a dangerous toxin causing about 74,000 infections in the U.S. each year.
Now that wraps up AWANI tonight. But before we end, a reminder that AWANI International is now live on Astro AWANI's web portal. Astro AWANI's revamped English platform delivers in-depth global news and expert analysis to keep you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Saraya Mia and good night.
Malaysia sebenarnya berada di kedudukan kedua terburuk di